I'm not originally a Norwich resident. I moved here to study a couple of years ago. It was an adjustment for me moving to a more populated area. After about a year, I sort of got used to it, and I realised that this is a place where I feel like I belong. I got a strong sense of belonging here after spending, my first summer here. Spending just summer in the city really, and the woodlands and the parks. I just felt really comfortable here, and I was wondering if you could think of perhaps a time, memories of where you've had this sense of belonging.
Well, I think I used to live in, I know I used to live in Newbury in Berkshire, and that was, we lived in a house with a garden with a wood in the garden at the bottom, which went on to about 2 or 3 square miles of woodland after that. That was a really nice place. I felt a sense of belonging there.
So do you miss being back there?
Yeah, sometimes, but we've settled here now in a whole range of ways. So, no, it was the right thing to do to come here. But yeah, I remember it fondly as opposed to missing.
Are there things in Norwich that you can identify with Berkshire? Things that you sort of have familiar connection with?
Just a feeling, if you get outside of Norwich, the feeling of open space and countryside too, because we were right west of Berkshire and on the corner of Hampshire really. But no, I mean Norwich has got more culture to it. Newbury, other than I suppose it had a very good theatre, Newbury, and this theatre's less good than Newbury, so I can identify the theatre connection, which was better there, surprisingly.
Do you think of a time or a memory, perhaps, that being in Norwich, where you thought, this is really where I feel comfortable? Is there anything specific you can think of?
I think we've done things to our house to make it more comfortable and more ours. Include just putting on suite and putting in a new kitchen, things like that are specific things to make it more comfortable in terms of the home. And moving my late mother up here before she died was making it a very specific thing to make it seem like home as well. But it's more general stuff really than very, very specific things.
So a general thing that would keep you here is you created a space for yourself.
Yeah, well, obviously the home is a space for myself. And that was quite traumatic really, setting that up, because we had different problems with different prospective houses that we were going to buy and we didn't buy and things like that. So it was a real relief to get that sorted out. We created a home and a whole range of ways here. My wife's family is from Norfolk, so there's a lot of family connections for her up here too.
That's great. Thank you very much. Nice one. Cheers. I was just wondering if you have any memories or feelings of this being in a place where you feel like that's the place for you.
Well, I felt that for many years.
Yeah.
When I was living in London.
Okay, in London.
And when I had the opportunity, it just felt right to move up here.
Right. Okay. So, what sort of opportunity was that? What sort of feeling sort of brought you here?
Mainly the fact that we had a family hideout in Thetford Forest.
Okay.
We've had for the last 50 years.
A hideout, you say?
Well, a cottage in the forest.
Yeah.
And because of being there quite frequently, when my kids are small particularly, used to come into Norwich quite a bit.
Okay.
And gradually I thought this is where I really want to live.
Is there anything specific about Norwich that you can remember that sort of made you think that?
Well, the whole feel of it, I think, and the amenities here. It always felt a very livable city altogether.
Okay. That's
Yeah, personally for me, that's where we've always lived. I've not really lived anywhere else, so I like it here. Never had an inclination to actually move anywhere else.
No. What would you say is the sort of binding factor that keeps you here?
Family,
Family.
yeah, family roots from years ago, really.
Yes, yes.
Are your roots important to you then? Is that what you
Yeah,
need to establish?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, don't really know what else to add on that.
No, that's great. Yeah, thank you.
I was brought up in East Anglia. I was born in Norfolk. I have travelled to other parts and other areas. And generally speaking, where I am is where home is. So I'm very fortunate that I don't have any strong ties. Having said that, as I've grown older, I've become increasingly more attached to Norfolk. And I've been on holiday in other parts of England, and you drive up the A11 and you get to the area of Thetford. Do you know the area of Thetford where the trees are? And you suddenly realise that you're back in Norfolk again, and you think, this is the right place to be. So it's not necessarily the village perhaps or whatever, but the general environment of the broad skies and whatnot, and I'm home in Norfolk again, and I'm proud of it.
That's great. Okay, thank you.
I've been away from Norwich. I'm a resident of Norwich. I brought up in Norwich, but I've been away a lot of times. A lot of times I'm glad to be back here.
Yeah.
You feel comfortable in surroundings you know, and you're confident, I suppose,
Why do you think that is?
because you're accustomed to it and you've grown used to it for your life, for the time you spent here.
What are your favourite sort of aspects of Norwich? would you say?
It's quite quiet. It's not as rough as certain places I know.
Yeah.
And I feel quite free and confident to walk about, thinking I'm safe.
Yeah.
But you never know. I might now walk around the corner and get on the head.
Well, let's hope not.
Let's hope not.
There's a place to somewhere.
Certainly. You don't realise, well, first of all, I'll give you the advantages which you haven't stated. Norwich is 20 miles from the coast, the east coast, about 27 miles from the north coast. Both attractive coastlines. You've got the Broads.
Yep.
In Norwich itself, you've got a bicycle ride here in the countryside, or you can get a bus within 10 minutes, in the city centre, which was second only to London, way back, about just under less than 2,000 years ago. I was a serviceman. I served all over the world. I got the feeling in Australia. I should imagine America was like that about 100 years ago, where you don't realise where you belong, such as you walk down these ancient streets when you're a child growing up. You walk through them and all the rest of it, and you play, and you don't realise it until you're away from it. Then you realise the belonging, what you're on about. I mean, how much you miss. Australia, beautiful weather, friendly people, any excuse for a barbie, Most of the population live all around the coastline, nice life. But you can see where they speak loud. They're very similar to the Americans, Basically, in their subconscious, they know this is the real heart, So they're like the offspring who broke away, and they want to be aggressive and say we can do without you, and they can economically, But I went to Australia, and I thought everything is here. If I could bring my whole family, my relations and friends, all in one scope, I could probably give it a try. But I did know that atmosphere, not exactly on the moon, but lack that depth of time. You don't realise it, but if you're brought up in a city like this, with culture, age, and atmosphere, it's there, and you don't notice it till you go away, even when you're abroad. I don't say I'm shooting a line, but in 20 years in the parachute bed, you go all over the place. And there was 2 or 3 local guys, Norwich guys, Even, although Norwich aren't done too well, they'll survive this year. We used to sing On the Ball City, but they sing it now, but they're out of tune. They keep on the same pitch instead of dropping off. I think I'll have to put that right and go and see Elliot Smith. Anyhow, so I think that's answered your questions, and I quite understand where you're coming from. Yeah. And if you live here for some time and you go somewhere else, you'll find it different. But you might find it less close by not being born here. I was brought up down the wall, where we got bombed. Certain well-known stores like the Maypole, and St Benedict's, Henry Jarvis, and people like this, you see. When you used to go around, you were all hard up, but we were all in the same boat. there was no left, right, or centre. Everyone was pulling the weight.
Yeah.
Apart from the few socialists who were either conscientious objectors or, shall we say, still working for the unions. Did you know the bloody miners went on strike in 1943? You know, so put that in your science, bloody left-wing doctrine, will you? And if I want to come and lecture to them, I will, because there's no substitute for experience, okay? And when a person go to the grave, you take a lot of knowledge with them. You'll be covered the same ground of people have been dying, providing they're at a good age, and you'll be getting that knowledge, but you wouldn't realise it. Yeah. Give an example. Enoch Paul, supposed to be a racist. He wouldn't go into it. It's a very sensitive subject. But that guy was a Greek scholar. He was brilliant. He was a brigadier at the age of 27. He learnt the Morse code in 3 days. As if someone got on a computer and reprogramming the whole issue and improving it, you know. And he was abused by Ted Heath because he didn't utilise him to his strengths, just because he could see a problem which we haven't dealt with very well. Right, next question.
Yeah, that was basically, so I was interested in finding out.
Right, I'll give you my address and you can come round for an in-depth interview, and if anyone wants any knowledge how to improve their intellect, life experience, they can come and see me. Cheerio.
Thank you.
I
so much.
enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I tell you what, you meet a lot of eccentrics in Norwich as well. You just met one.
Thank you.